All right, so today we're going to dive into the story of Steph Curry. Now, most people probably know him as like this basketball superstar, right? The guy who like totally changed how shooting works in the NBA. But what I find really fascinating is like the journey he took to get there.
Right.
Like it's so much more than just like raw talent, you know?
Yeah.
Talking like resilience, defying expectations, and you know, just a whole lot of heart.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, get ready, because we're going to break down how Steph Curry became the icon he is today.
It's interesting, you know, because when you look at Curry's story, one thing that stands out is that even though he was like the son of an NBA player.
Right, his dad, Bill Curry.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't just like handed success.
Right.
He had to like forge his own path, and he had to face like skepticism and doubt pretty much every step of the way.
So it wasn't just like, oh, you're Del Curry's son, here's a starting spot on the team.
Nope, not at all.
So what was it like for him then? Like trying to break into the basketball world, you know, with everyone comparing him to his dad.
Well, I think like a lot of scouts and coaches, they had their doubts. You know, they saw a player who, like, in their eyes was like too small.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't see him having like the typical build of an NBA star.
Interesting.
And so like his height and his physique almost became like this obstacle he constantly had to overcome.
Yeah, you always hear about those stories of players being told they're too small.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's crazy to think that he only got one scholarship offer for college.
I know, it's pretty wild, right?
It's like one college was willing to take a chance on this future superstar.
And to add to that, the offer came from Davidson College, a small liberal arts school.
Oh, wow.
Not exactly known for their basketball program.
Right. It's not Duke. It's not North Carolina.
Nope, it was Davidson.
Wow. Talk about having the weight of expectations on your shoulders, right?
Right, absolutely.
Like, only one college is willing to give you a shot, and you're representing them against all these, like, powerhouse schools.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So how did he deal with that?
Well, from what I've read, he kind of used that whole underdog thing as motivation.
Okay.
Like, instead of letting those doubts get to him, he used them to push himself further.
So he just, like, worked harder?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
His training regimen became like legendary, with all these like grueling drills.
Oh, wow.
Focusing on agility, speed, and of course, perfecting that shot.
That now legendary shot.
Yeah, exactly. He was like meticulously crafting his game, you know?
So even in college, he was showing that dedication and that work ethic that like we see now in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely.
But after a great college career, you'd think NBA scouts would finally be on board, right?
Well, not really. You got to remember, this was like before the whole like three-point revolution that Curry would eventually like lead.
Yeah.
Back then, the NBA was much more focused on like size and power, you know?
The big man.
Exactly. So even though Curry led Davidson to the Elite Eight.
Which is like the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament, for anyone who doesn't know.
Right. Even with that, scouts were still skeptical.
They still didn't believe.
Yeah, they questioned if he could replicate that success in the NBA.
It's almost like they couldn't see past, like, the unconventional to what he was actually bringing.
Right,
It
exactly.
was like a whole new style of play.
Yeah, they just weren't used to it.
So his shooting style, I mean, that was a big part of it, right?
Yeah, it was considered pretty unorthodox back then.
And his ball handling.
Flashy, but again, not necessarily what they were looking for.
Interesting.
And then there were even criticisms about his, like, lack of physical dominance.
Ah, so the size thing again.
Yep, which was seen as a major weakness in a league where, like, everyone's a giant.
Yeah, so the 2009 draft had to be a roller coaster of emotions for him, right?
Well, for sure.
Like, imagine all those years of hard work, and then you're sitting there hoping to hear your name called, and team after team just passes on you.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It really is.
And, you know, even the Minnesota Timberwolves, they had 2 picks ahead of Golden State.
Right.
And they chose 2 other players over him.
Wow, that must have been tough.
It had to be a huge blow.
All that work just to be passed over like that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's those setbacks that actually make Curry's story so compelling.
Okay, I see that.
It shows that it wasn't just about talent for him, but about perseverance, about believing in himself even when others didn't.
That's a powerful lesson right there.
It really is.
So the Golden State Warriors finally took a chance on him, drafting him 7th overall.
Yeah.
You'd think that's where the story like takes a turn for the better.
Well, it's definitely a turning point.
Right.
But it's actually where things get even more interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because even though he had made it to the NBA, a whole new set of challenges were waiting for him.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Let's get into those challenges.
All right, let's dive in.
This is where the deep dive really begins.
Yeah.
This is where it gets good.
Yeah.
So Curry's early years in the NBA, they weren't exactly like a smooth ride.
Oh, really?
No, you had a lot of like recurring ankle problems.
I see.
Which led to like multiple surgeries, actually.
Wow. So like right out of the gate, he was dealing with these serious injuries.
Yeah, and there were a lot of concerns about whether he could like physically handle the NBA.
Yeah. Right, like could his body hold up?
Exactly. And there were even like whispers about whether he could even have like a long career.
And these whispers must have been pretty loud because I read that the Warriors even considered trading him in 2012.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, the team that drafted him, they gave him his shot.
Mm-hmm.
They almost like gave up on him.
It was a close call for sure.
Wow. That had to be like a really tough time for him,
Oh, definitely.
battling these injuries. And then on top of that, having to deal with the possibility of being traded away.
Yeah, it's got to mess with your head,
Yeah, like, does this team even believe in me anymore?
But, it's really impressive how he responded to all that.
It really is. I mean, instead of like letting it break him, he just like doubled down on his commitment.
So like even more intense training.
Oh yeah, he went all in on this like intense rehab program.
Wow.
Strengthening his ankles and basically like turning what everyone saw as a weakness into an asset.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and he like transformed his whole game, becoming even more like elusive and agile on the court.
So he took that obstacle and turned it into like fuel.
Exactly. It's like he needed that challenge to push him to the next level.
It's such an inspiring story,
It really is.
Like it shows that setbacks don't have to define you.
Mm-hmm.
But even with his basketball career getting back on track, I mean, life off the court wasn't always easy, was it?
No, not really.
I mean, behind all the championships and the records, there was also like real life happening.
Right.
And his parents went through a very public divorce in 2021.
Yeah, that was definitely tough for him.
And it's just like a good reminder that even these like superstars, they go through real stuff just like everyone else.
For sure.
So how did he navigate those personal challenges, while also like striving for greatness in his career?
Well, it's hard to know for sure, but it seems like he has a really strong support system.
Okay.
His wife, Aisha, his kids, his teammates, his faith.
Right.
He's talked about how important his family is to him.
Yeah.
And how it helps him stay grounded,
With all that pressure.
Exactly.
It's inspiring to see that even with all the fame and fortune, he still prioritizes those things that really matter.
Yeah, it makes him seem like a much more relatable person.
Right. But let's get back to those on-court triumphs.
Okay.
Because once he recovered from those injuries, his career really took off.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple NBA championships, 2 MVP awards, breaking three-point records. Like, it's just incredible.
It really is amazing.
It's not even just about the number of achievements either. It's how he achieved them.
Right. Yeah, he didn't just adapt to the NBA. He, changed the game itself.
Wow.
His three-point shooting became this, unstoppable force.
Yeah, it forced teams to completely rethink their strategies.
Exactly.
So what was it about his three-point shooting that was so, revolutionary?
Well, it was a lot of things, It was a combination of things,
Okay.
I mean, first there's the accuracy.
Right. He's an amazing shooter.
Oh, yeah. He shoots with, incredible precision.
Right.
But it's more than that, It's also the range and the speed of his release.
So he's not just accurate. He's doing it from far away and really fast.
Exactly. He can shoot from way beyond the three-point line.
Right.
And he gets that shot off so quickly.
So it's tough to defend.
Oh, yeah. Defenders are often a step behind.
So it's not even just about making the shot. It's about creating those opportunities.
Exactly.
To take shots that other players wouldn't even try.
Exactly. He sees openings that other players just don't see. And then you have to think about the impact on team strategy.
Okay.
Before Curry, the three-pointer was seen as more of a bonus, a way to mix things up.
Right.
But Curry made it the main weapon.
Wow.
He showed that a team could actually win championships by building their offense around the three-point shot.
And they did win championships.
Yeah, they did.
And that 2016 season when they won 73 games.
Yeah.
And broke the all-time record.
Unbelievable.
And he was the unanimous MVP.
Yeah, that was a special season.
What made that season so special? Was it just him being amazing, or was there something more?
Well, I think it was a combination of things.
Right.
It was all the work he'd been putting in,
right.
All the talent, all the strategy, and the team chemistry.
So the whole team was clicking.
Oh, yeah. They had guys like Klay Thompson.
Right. Amazing shooter.
And
right?
Draymond Green.
Right.
And Coach Steve Kerr, he really knew how to use Curry's strengths.
I see.
And they just played so well together.
So it wasn't just Curry carrying the team.
No, it was a team effort, for sure.
Everyone playing their role.
Exactly.
And then there's like the impact he's had on the game beyond just his own team.
Right.
Like he's inspired so many young players.
Oh, yeah. A whole generation of players are focusing on shooting.
Because of him.
You see it everywhere now.
Wow.
In the NBA and even like at the youth level.
Like kids are practicing those deep threes.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants to be like Steph.
It's like he changed what people thought was possible in basketball.
He definitely expanded the possibilities.
And we can't forget about his impact off the court.
Right.
Like he's a global icon, a role model.
He emphasizes like humility and faith and family.
And this foundation, eat, learn, play.
Yeah.
They're doing great work.
Amazing work.
So he's not just this amazing basketball player.
Right.
He's like a good person too.
Yeah. He's a whole package.
But what does all this mean for us? You know, the people listening who aren't NBA superstars.
That's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah, like how can we apply this to our own lives?
Right. What can we learn from Curry's journey?
Okay, so how do we channel our inner Steph Curry?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to believe in yourself.
Right.
Even when other people doubt you.
Like block out that noise?
Yeah, remember those early rejections he got?
Right, he could have just given up.
But he used those doubts to fuel him, you know?
Like prove them wrong.
Exactly.
So it's like embrace those voices saying you're not good enough and use them as motivation.
Turn those negative into positive.
And it's about turning setbacks into opportunities.
Yeah, like those ankle injuries.
He could have let them end his career
But he came back stronger.
and adapted.
Yeah. He showed that resilience can beat adversity.
And it's also about pushing boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
Like don't just settle.
Keep striving for more.
Like Curry didn't just settle for being a good shooter.
Right. He revolutionized the game.
He changed
He
everything.
dared to be different.
So what are the boundaries in our own lives?
What are we settling for?
What are we afraid to try?
Maybe it's time to push ourselves.
To go beyond what we think is possible.
Exactly.
Like unlock our potential
discover those hidden talents
and strive for greatness.
in our own way.
And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to learn from Curry's story.
And maybe your story will be the next deep dive.
Until then, keep diving deep.
And keep believing in yourself.
Because as Steph Curry's story shows us, greatness can come from anywhere.
It really can.